U.S. Treasuries went up to 6%, which means Daimler is Treasuries +2 in terms of default risk. So coupon rate is the same. Yield to maturity went up to 8%. You lost 20% of the value of your bond, not because Daimler did anything wrong, only because U.S. Treasuries are considered more risky now. Floating rate bonds get out of that. Okay? You don't have that issue. The only thing you have to worry about is, that spread. Doesn't mean they're not affected. They are, but they are protected, relatively speaking. That's why investors like them. They don't have to take that risk of the base changing. So you're not taking the risk of U.S. Treasuries changing. You're taking the risk that Daimler's credit spread is going to go up. If Daimler's credit spread goes up, obviously you're going to pay. Your bonds are not going to be as valuable. But that's the kind of risk you wanted to take to begin with. Companies, sometimes they don't like it, but it is easier to sell floating rate bonds compared to fixed rate bonds, especially for corporations. So, that's what the market demands, and they use that. But you can actually buy protection against that. Have you guys heard of something called interest rate swaps? It's okay if you haven't. Let's say I'm Daimler. I issued these bonds, 10-year bonds or 20-year bonds, that are paying LIBOR +2. If 5 years from now LIBOR goes to 8, I'm going to be paying a lot of interest, right? I mean, right now LIBOR is 4. I'm paying only 6. If LIBOR goes to 8, I'm going to pay 10. That may be a lot of interest payments. So how am I going to protect myself? I can't do anything about the bond market because the bond clients want floating rates. So I'm going to go find a willing participant, and you ask for a floating to fixed swap, because I want to be a fixed rate payer and floating rate receiver. Let's say Bryce is my counterparty, and let's say a notional amount of $1 billion. Every 3 months, I promise to make payments of the swap rate, that's the fixed rate, that market is going to determine, times 1 billion divided by 4. So let's say swap rate is 4. And I promise $10 million payments every year, every quarter. But I will receive the LIBOR rate determined with 3-month lag in exchange. So let's, for the sake of argument, let's say today LIBOR is 4. So I promise to pay Bryce $10 million 3 months from now. And since today LIBOR is 4, you promised me to pay $10 million. But we net it off. So next 3 months, We get nothing to pay each other. 3 months from now, LIBOR goes up to 5. Okay, I I still promise to pay you $10 million 6 months from now, but now the amount that you're going to pay me went up. It's 5% times 1 billion divided by 4, which is 12.5 million. So you're going to pay me 12.5. Since I'm supposed to pay you 10, you pay me a net of 2.5. We keep doing this. LIBOR went up to 8. Now you're going to pay me $20 million. I'm still paying you 10. So net, you're going to pay me 10. But if LIBOR goes to 2, all you have to do is pay me 5. I have to pay you 10. Then I pay you 5 net. That's what a swap agreement is. But since my natural position, my payments go up if that variable rate goes up. But in the swap, I get higher payments if that variable rate goes up. I basically hedge myself using an interest rate swap. And the first swaps like these were made in early 70s. Then investment banks basically found two counterparties with the opposing needs. You know, some of them wanted to be variable rate payers, some of them wanted to be variable rate receivers. So they matched them up and they did the swaps that way. Then they realized later we can actually build a book. You can build a swap book, and you, as a dealer bank, take the other side of a swap. Your client says, I want to be a variable rate payer. So, sure. Then you're going to getting fixed rate money. I take the other side. Another client of mine is going to do the opposite. But there will always be some sort of imbalance. But we have ways to manage that risk using short-term interest rate futures. That's where the forward prices come in. These markets were a lot more liquid and better when LIBOR was still the standard. But some of these banks actually started kind of doing shenanigans and started to affect the LIBOR depending upon their positions. And LIBOR is no more. Okay. Now U.S. Treasury has another similar but a little bit more complicated reference rate. It's called the SOFR. It's short for Secured Overnight Financing Rate. Uh, Banks do a lot of repo transactions between themselves and with the Fed, and the average of those is the SOFR rate. But now they kind of do a 3-month compounded version of that, and we have futures contracts on those. When we do futures, I'm going to talk about that. I mean, the so-called euro dollar futures, which were based on LIBOR, they were so simple. They were straight forward rates. I mean, if I had September contracts for euro dollar futures, that meant the forward rate, 3-month forward rate for a loan that started in September was that rate. That was it. It was simple. Now it's not that simple, but you could kind of figure it out using spreadsheet and stuff. But the idea is still there. That's where forward rate calculations come in. Let me do just one of them. I mean, I did this in problems, but let's look at the treasuries today. Come on, markets. Okay, let's just do bonds. Current US 10-year rate is And let's do it for Japan. 10-year rate is 142.6. Let's do the 20-year rate as well. 207. So short term is 10, long term is 20. And I'm just going to put 1 million. That doesn't matter too much. And let me see. Short term rates are, this is effective annual return. All I have to do is, let me see. Why are these exactly the same? I can't see it. Kind of getting dizzy a little bit. Maybe that's why I can't see it. I know I used this earlier. Oh, it's part of month. Okay. Basically, you make this difference zero by changing the forward rate. Okay. Okay. So this says 10, if you wanted to do a deal with someone in Japan, assuming this is Japanese government, so it's the same risk. The Japanese government says, I'm going to borrow money from you, but you're going to lend me the money 10 years from now, and I'll give you the money back 20 years from now. So this is a 10-year forward, 10-year loan. Okay. The proper rate for that is 272, even though current 10-year rate is 142 and current 20-year rate is 207. The reason is, at least under the expectations hypothesis, market is expecting the 10-year rates to be higher in the future. So that's why you want that extra compensation. That's not necessarily a predictor of what the interest rates are going to be in the future, but it's basically the compensation market is asking for. You know, I'm committing to you that 10 years from now, I will give you $1 million. There is no backing out from that. It's not an option. But for that, I want a high interest rate. If it was the other way around, let's say 20-year rates were at 1, and I don't know. You can do it. And basically, at the end of my strength, it was going to be a lower rate. That's what I mean. When the yield curve is downward sloping, forward rates are typically lower than both of those interest rates. When it's upward sloping, it's the other way around. I know.